For me personally, after having thoroughly thinking this through and thinking about what the strengths are versus the weaknesses, I for myself have come to the conclusion that this is the right step. This is really allowing us to go for the long term, to make this something that lasts decades, which is our sincere dream and vision, to make this a worthwhile career pursuit for players, a sustainable business for the teams, and something that fans can enjoy for ideally generations.
Hey everyone, this is Darius from the Shotcaller. I'm joined here by Marc Schnell, the European Head of League Management at Riot Games. Thank you very much for your time. And today we're going to talk about the upcoming EU LCS partnership system in 2019, and we're going to ask some important questions about the system and some of the decisions that were made by Riot. And let's just start things off, given that money will be talked about anyway. Why was the buy-in price for the EU LCS partnership system put at the exact same value as for the NA LCS?
So the buy-in price for non-endemic teams is 10.5 million euros, and for endemic, so current LCS teams, it's at 8 million euros. And the reason we went with this buy-in fee was, why do you have a buy-in fee in the first place? We want to ensure that, of course, we have serious applicants. We want to make sure that the partners that we get into the league share the same commitment that we do for the long-term vision of this league. And that is the goal that we wanted to hit. It was not us trying to be like, okay, what's the fair market value for the slot? Let's price it that way. That's not how we looked at it. If we had done that, I think the pricing would probably have been different, higher, likely.
Interesting. Now, that said, though, the EU LCS in history has been a bit of a more difficult market for teams to get sponsorships in compared to the NA LCS teams. I spoke to a few team owners, for example, both from EU LCS and from the regional leagues. And what was interesting was what I found, that sponsorship deals for regional teams sometimes were twice or three times higher than for EU LCS teams. Is that something that Riot is looking at fixing by essentially establishing the EU LCS as even more of a more important competition with a partnership system?
Well, I would say that each market is unique, and it is true that NA being a less fragmented market compared to EU, there's just I guess like less education that needs to be done. There's you don't have to look for different sponsors in individual markets. You can go to one sponsor who will be interested in the whole market, and that is true that that adds complexity in Europe. At the same time, though, so my take on this would be that it just takes more time for us in Europe to get the right framework in place that allows us to be effective in all of the various markets that we have. We, as a league, have this commitment that we want to be present and be able to sell on the pan-European level as well as on a individual country level. And we do think that those things will add up, and it actually provides us with some unique opportunities that single markets don't have. So while it might be more complex, I wouldn't say that it is worse by any means. And in addition to the fact that we have an insanely huge player base here, very strong 2 servers here in Europe, and that obviously is the foundation of our league, is our players and the fans. So with those things in mind, and then hopefully like 10 strong partners on board next year, that we hope all bring something unique to the table that will help the league to elevate and seek out new business opportunities, get more presence where we might not have presence right now. I'm very confident in our future.
Okay. Now, application process ends at the end of this month. So is there, from a fan perspective, of course, some fans are worried about their favorite teams not making it, as it can happen. Is there like a minimum amount of current EU LCS teams that we can see return, or is there in theory going to be like 7 or 8 new teams? Is that a possibility to Riot?
The process will be as objective as it can be. Therefore, we will be just looking at the quality of the applications and at how each of the applicants fit into the lineup of 10, because we're not looking at the applications individually only. We're also looking at how does this team synergize with all of the others, and what is a good lineup that has, where each of the teams has certain strengths that maybe others don't have, or can bring to the table some network or expertise that the others don't have, so we can level each other up and the league. So that is basically how we think about it. That's why I don't know. We'll have to go through the process, and then we'll see.
So teams that were previously in the NA LCS and even in the NA Challenger series that didn't make the franchise system got a certain amount in terms of money, depending on how long they were in the league, and achievements as well, competitive achievements as well. Will we expect, or should we expect, EU LCS teams that won't make it to get a similar reward for their time in the league?
Yeah, so we certainly recognize the role that each of the teams played in making the league what it is now, and we will have some mechanic in place where there will be a payout for teams in case they should not make it.
If a team does not make it to the big stage of the EU LCS, do they still get the option of then getting into a national league, for example?
Yeah, for sure. So every European regional league has a little bit of a different system. So I cannot make a blanket statement, because some of them are tournament circuits, some of them are leagues. But you can just use the regular qualification methods of that region, and then you can get in, sure.
When the NA LCS franchising was announced first, there was also the announcement of the Players Association. Now we haven't heard anything about that in the European space. Can we expect something like this in the future as well?
So player representation is something that is very important to us. We think about this constantly. We've started on, like, I'll say low scale, having sort of like feedback rounds with players for important things that come up, where we feel like we want to hear their opinion. That is from everything regarding the league, but also to game-related things. And that's something we want to expand on. So next year, when we enter this new partnership structure, we also want to introduce a committee system in which players will have a role. Now, will this be a formal player association and all of the everything that comes along with that? I think in the future that's where we want to be. We didn't feel ready at this point to sort of like lock it in and announce it, because there's still some hurdles we have to overcome. From my point of view, it's important also that it happens somewhat organically, because ultimately it should be something that's driven by the players. Because only then can it be really effective and really representative of the players. So what we're looking to do right now with the structures we put in place next year, committees and such, is incentivize this and get players more used to being involved and having a voice and voting and those kind of things. And we'll see where it goes from there.
Great. In between, when first leaks essentially of the EU LCS partnership system, then called franchising, were revealed, there were allegedly talks about a 4-league system, essentially with 4 main leagues in place and a Champions League, essentially replacing to an extent regional leagues, and splitting up the EU LCS into important leagues. What was the reaction of team owners to this, and why did Riot at the end of the day kind of decide to go against that idea and essentially continue the traditional model?
Well, so we've actually explored a multitude of different directions we could go with the league. And for the ones that we felt were more sort of like fleshed out, we brought it to the teams also to get their feedback. And some of them were just purely internal, and we scrapped them at some point. As with any structure, there's always, I think, pros and cons. Like there's no right solution. Like this is the best model for everything. Like even with this new long-term partnership structure, it certainly also has its weaknesses. So there is no perfect model. Why we ended up going with this instead of doing something else, like you mentioned, for example, regional leagues that feed into some Champions League type system, was that ultimately we felt it was too much of a risk, not necessarily for Riot, but more like for the ecosystem at large, because we know how much the teams and the players have built this up, and how much they rely on this functioning, and how much they rely on this becoming sustainable for them. We as Riot could probably shoulder, a big, it would entail an expansion like this. However, we were worried that the ecosystem would not be able to sustain all of the other stakeholders that would need to be part of this. So this is why at this point we decided to not go with this, but instead go with the model that we're taking for next year.
So the name partnership system is very smartly decided, or was very smartly decided upon, because I think there were talks about in the future, if the system is going well and the league is generating more and more interest, it's open towards more teams joining in. Is that correct? In comparison to the NLCS, which is pretty much on lockdown, essentially.
I won't speak for the NLCS, although I think Chopper, the head of NALCS, did previously say that if the right conditions are met, they would be open to expansion. It's actually pretty similar for EU as well. We are not saying it's going to be 10 teams and then 10 teams forever. If the right market circumstances are met, and also the teams as partners of the league are on board, we would be completely open to expanding or doing whatever we feel like is right with the model.
Okay. So what can teams essentially expect from the partnership system if they do get accepted, and if they do bring in the 8.5 or 10.5 million euros from Riot?
What can the teams expect from Riot? Well, for one, they can expect Riot to produce a great league, hopefully, and continue to invest in making this broadcast awesome and entertaining for fans. Continue to support the game and keep it fresh for infinity, hopefully. But further than that, I think the biggest change in terms of how we work together will be that being in a partnership, we want to have a collaborative approach to almost everything, where I mentioned this committee structure before, where it's less about, we just have almost something like a service or vendor relationship where they get a stipend and then they do their thing, but more like, hey, so we're doing this league together, and all of the stakeholders here are important to make this interesting and make it work. So how can we work together to make that happen? And that is relevant for all of the fields that touch the league. That is on the whatever it means, league operations, the format side, the merch side, the content side, our branding strategy. Like we're looking forward to work a lot more closely with the teams to create these things together. Yeah.
Okay. So a lot more unison between teams and Riot, essentially, to create the best fan experience out there.
Yes, that is the ideal world. So I'm not going to lie, I don't expect us to be there sort of like right from the get-go, because this will be a learning experience for all sides. But ultimately, that's where we want to go. And that, I think, is the tremendous strength of this model.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So NALCS was essentially the first region to franchise. China followed suit shortly after. Now it's EU's time with the partnership system. Why did it take EU essentially a year longer compared to NA? Was it like looking at the market and looking at the fans, knowing that there would be maybe a bit more backlash? What was the decision making behind delaying it essentially, or just not deciding upon it as quickly as an NA?
Well, we wanted to be sure that we are making the right decision for the region, and it took us time to do thorough analysis on all the different options that we had, and we didn't feel like there was a rush to lock something in when we did not feel confident that it's the right thing for us to do. So this is why it took as long as it took.
Okay, makes sense. Now, I'm sure there are a lot of EU LCS fans watching. They are our main demographic, of course. So would you like to say anything to those EU LCS fans? Some of them might be very excited. Some of them might be a bit worried about their favorite team. This is your chance to calm down calm down some of the fans out there, maybe.
Okay, so one thing I'll say is that our fans are usually pretty vocal, and I want to say that we genuinely appreciate that, because only when we get feedback can we get better. So I would say any critical feedback, keep it coming. We appreciate that. Ideally, it's in a constructive manner, so it's something that we can then work with. I hope that fans have been enjoying all of the improvements that we've tried to make to the league over the course of the past year or so, I'll say. All of the investments that we've made to the studio and here, the backstage area, the production, the tech, addition of POV streams, all of these things. We're trying a lot to make this as entertaining as can be. For next year, I can very much understand if there's some trepidation and uncertainty around, like, how will I feel about this model? Because to be fair, I mean, we completely understand that this is not something that is very common in the European sports world. And me being European myself, German-born, I can relate to this. But for me personally, after having thoroughly thinking this through and thinking about what the strengths are versus the weaknesses, I for myself have come to the conclusion that this is the right step. This is really allowing us to go for the long term, to make this something that lasts decades, which is our sincere dream and vision. To make this a worthwhile career pursuit for players, a sustainable business for the teams, and something that fans can enjoy for ideally generations. So this is truly how we think about it. And I do hope that even fans that might have some worries will give it a shot and stick with us, and hopefully get used to it if they in the beginning might not like it. And I can't say I can guarantee, but I would say 99% you're going to come around and you're going to enjoy it.
Okay. Very exciting. 2019 is not right around the corner just yet, but we're very excited about those changes. Thank you very much for your time. This was Marc Schnell and Darius from the Shotcaller. I hope you had a good day. See you then. Hey everyone, this is Darius from the Shotcaller, and I hope you just enjoyed that video. This is a generic end card, of course, so make sure to click here for a different interview, or here for a different interview, or about here to subscribe to the Shotcaller. We very much appreciate your support, and see you guys next time. Bye bye.